This is the first time that I've ever written a children's book.
I think it's going to give me more respect for children's book authors because it's not as easy as it looks.
I think it's really important, especially for our English class, because it's really interactive and it gives you kind of like a realistic view of how to publish a book.
We're basically making a children's book for them, and it's a really interesting process.
You won't expect anything professional, but you will expect something that I put a lot of effort into for this one kid.
That's what's motivated the high school students so much, is to be able to give their kindergartner a final product that looks professional and feels professional and they get to take home.
So first we interviewed the kindergartners at Riverbend. Before that, we brainstormed questions to ask them, like what they like and their hobbies, where they grew up. And we asked them like their favorite superheroes and just stuff we could incorporate into a book.
I asked him like about his likes and dislikes, nothing personal. Like, what's your favorite season, your favorite cat, dog, mythical creature?
But we use that as the basis of like the theme and like what goes into our story.
How old are you?
6.
And based on our knowledge of them, we're creating a children's book basically for them. And it may include them as the character, it may include like some of their favorite interests, it may include like some things that they'd like.
Who is your hero?
High school kids love working with little kids. The joy they had coming back to the school after interviewing the kindergartners was just amazing.
I interviewed this kid named Leaf. He told me that he has a love-hate relationship with tigers. And so I decided that the main protagonist for the book will be the tiger. And also a cat and a dog, because he also has a cat and a dog.
She said she really likes unicorns. In my story, she goes to Seattle, so I made her have like a pet Pegasus mixed with the unicorn.
From his perspective, I was like a towering giant.
We bought a number of books from the Raven Reads program at Sealaska Heritage, and we read those and talked about the lessons they taught and why the Sealaska Heritage wanted to share that part of their culture. And we then talked about how to incorporate those lessons in the children's books. And then we looked at, after the interviews, all of the kids' interests and how they could use those interests to incorporate the lessons that they might want to teach from that they had seen in the Sealaska Heritage books.
Her moral, she told me she wanted it in there. She wanted it to be nice to everybody. So that was the end lesson.
We revised our stories a lot, and sometimes we like completely change it.
I think that writing children's books in general are like, it looks way easier than it really is, because you have to use simple sentences and words that aren't too far out of their reach, you know.
For children's books, you gotta keep writing in a calm, not make sure it's not inappropriate, keep the vocabulary and the simplicity of the story like very simple.
Focus on different strategies just for a children's book. So like repetition and alliteration. And so you're still like paying attention to literary devices that we've learned.
And then they learned all the technical skills of how to create the illustrations, how to lay things out, how to take into consideration where the font should be and what size it should be in and whether or not it shows. So some of those design elements that are important to highlighting what they've written and why they want to highlight it that way.
And now we're kind of in the final step. Digitally, we're like creating the book with pictures, or some people are making art.
Well, I'm actually creating something that you really can't find on the internet.
When Michelle, our artist, came up from Seattle, students were able to see the possibilities and then change their stories and change their ideas to match the wide variety of options within the technical part of the graphics and the technology they were going to be using, and then they could revise their story as they were creating their pictures, and the two then came together a little bit better. So the last step of this process will be to send it off to the publisher and have it published, and then we'll go back and read the books to the kindergartners and give them all their copy.
It's like their own little personal book for themselves, and I think it's really adorable.
And I just think it's really cool we can give back to the elementary schools.
Like someone not from his family would pretty much go through all that effort just to make him something special.
I think the biggest success is making those connections between the high school students and the kindergarten students, and those are relationships they're not going to forget, even if they don't get to see that kindergartner again for a long time. That ability to have a connection, and for those kindergartners to see high school students as not big scary kids, but someone they can connect with who makes something for them.
Because not only does it like help you grow, it like makes another kid feel like special, you know, and I think that's great.
It was a ton of fun. It was a lot of work, but it was also a lot of fun. And I think in the end, the kids are having a lot of fun too, and they're learning.